Welcome to the Growth Guys Podcast, presented by KinderReeseCoaching.com. This is the #1 podcast for real estate agents who are serious about growing their business. Get the strategies and tactics to grow your business fast while building the lifestyle you dream of. Now, sit back, buckle up, and get ready, because we're about to get real. The Growth Guys Podcast starts right now.
What's up, everybody? It's Jeff Kiani, and we're excited for this episode of the Growth Guys Podcast. This is another one of our Ask the Growth Guys live episodes where John Kitchens and myself do our best to answer any questions that anybody has and kind of just talk about what's been going on recently in our conversations with other agents. So sit back, relax, and we love these Ask the Growth Guys live episodes. We'll get started right now.
Welcome back to the Growth Guys Podcast.
It's a picture of Homer Simpson asleep on the couch.
Yeah, we're not quite that
first
point.
Guy to go to sleep.
Yeah, it's only 7 p.m. Shoot, you probably just finished a coaching call 30 minutes ago or something.
Yeah, I did not too long ago. Man, it's so funny. Yeah, you get up that early and you go hard all day. I'm that. I don't know how you are, man, but if I sit down and get still, lights out.
Oh yeah, for me too, man. And plus, you spend so much time these days like staring at the computer, and that just you just kind of start to wear out, man. All that blue light puts me to sleep.
Crazy. I saw you got I saw Mr. You got Mr. Louisiana himself, Jim Cady's testimonial rolling. I saw that.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's not rolling right now or anything, right? I mean, you just saw it.
I think it's on the KinderReese's coaching page.
Yeah. So his is up there, man. We were just talking about it. What'd you just tell me about somebody who just teamed up with us for coaching? What'd you say about Wally and that history there?
Yeah, man. And so she had shared that the reason that she chose to coach with us is that of what we did for her dad's career. And she said that could be taking this 100% out of context, but was that, coaching with us, going through our principles, going through the process, things that we've gone through is that, we saved her dad's career. And she saw that. She was a part of it. She got into real estate, obviously another generation, within the business, and decided to coach with us because of that, right? The impact that she saw and how we helped save her dad's career. So just thought that was, man, I had to share that. That was pretty dang powerful when Joel shared that with me earlier today. It was pretty cool.
Man, I think it's what's interesting is it sounds ridiculous kind of, but it's not that hard, right? It's like you can be right at the edge of darkness and it don't take a whole lot, all things considered, but to see the light. I mean, right. It's not like, these people can do it and I can't. It's really not about somebody, they just had this unique talent and they were able to apply it. It's none of that. It's really just knowing the right things to do at the right order, consistently doing the same things every day. Look, the one talent that nobody is born with is discipline.
Right.
Right? And that's the #1 talent. They always say talent only gets you so far. A hard worker is going to pass you up. I mean, people generally, I don't think, are born with extreme amounts of discipline. You learn it. And that's the key at anybody. You're doing 10, 12, 5 transactions a year. You could easily be at 50 in less than 9 months, 12 months. I mean, within a year. I mean, our goal, I believe with coaching, our track record kind of indicates that within 12 months, we can double your business. Within 2 to 3 years, we're looking at tripling the business that you're doing today.
Yep. If you're willing to put in the work and do the prescribed sequence of events that's prescribed out, right? And I listened to a really good podcast the other day, and it was just in a completely another space. They were talking about the bank code, right? And that was kind of the formula. But essentially it's understanding, if you want to unlock the safe, if you want to unlock somebody's account, you got to have the right sequence, you got to have the right code, and it's right things, right order to be able to unlock it. And it's it's no different than what this is, right? It's the same. It's unlocking. It's putting the right code in to unlock the safe, unlock your potential, unlock your businesses. Really whatever it is that you want to accomplish, whatever it is that we're trying to unlock for you, and that's really what it is. So yeah, man, it's not complicated, right?
It's not like they used to tell people in oil and gas, listen, Kitchens, this is a good deal, man. It ain't rocket science. It is science, but it ain't rocket science.
Right. There's a little bit of a difference.
A little bit of a difference, yeah. There's a little more. Don't ask the petroleum engineer. Don't ask that guy. He can't sell shit. That guy.
Right. You ain't got enough time. You ain't got enough time to listen to get him on the phone here.
But, like you said, the safe, man, like imagine, all the loot, all the riches that are held behind, you take the most unbreakable safe in the world, all it needs is one simple combination and it opens up, right? Like the thing that is the most unbreakable, it's just a simple, if you have the combination, it might as well not even be locked, right?
No.
And so just trying to find the combination, the stuff that is the most possible, just get the right combination.
Love it. I love it. Man, we've been rolling out some pretty awesome stuff over the last little while, man. It's been pretty dang cool. Man, some great agent spotlights. If you guys aren't tuning into those roll every Wednesday at 4 Central.
Thursdays. I think we've been doing them on Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Yeah.
So those agent spotlights are rolling. Make sure you guys are tapping into those. Obviously we ask the growth guys Q&A opportunity for you guys, chiming in. I know you're chomping at the bit to get the call in feature, which we'll probably for sure have that set up before the next call. But definitely there's definitely not a lack of content, and definitely, Ask the Growth Guys podcast. If you guys aren't tuning in to that podcast, it's been awesome. I mean, definitely tons and tons of content, and essentially everything that we've taught and have helped agents, like you were saying, double, triple their business. I mean, Jeff Cook came to us. He was doing, I think, 78 transactions. I mean, he's doing 1,200 transactions a year now, right? But he built it on the foundation and fundamentals that he learned working with us for 5 years to be able to catapult, and really, make his vision, a reality, which is pretty dang cool.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, I talked to several people this week already that are chomping at the bit to get going. And the thing is that, like, a lot of them realize that a lot of them know the things that they're not doing. Like, Jeff, man, I think I should be doing this. And, they kind of know the things that they should be doing that they're not. I think more than anything, the value that they see in working with us is, number one, that they like us, that we're like, kind of, they feel, like us. I mean, we're not some far away person in a high, castle or something. And so they can, I think, relate with a lot of us. And then the other thing is, they just like the accountability.
100%. I tell you what was cool. I don't know if you were in the room when at Agent to CEO when Missy was like, the one thing that I love about you guys is that you guys don't just stand up there and talk about all the good. Like, you guys sit up there and you share all the scars. And I'm like, that's the fun part. I love telling those stories.
Yeah.
I love telling the time when I threw something across the room at Kinder and slammed the door and broke shit because I was pissed off at him. I love telling those stories, but in all honesty is that they don't, most, and that was her point, right? Most of the coaches, most of the people they work with, they just want to shed the highlights. They don't want to share, the failures, right? Touching the hot stove. And like, man, this was our experience. Don't, my viewpoint, don't do it, right? And I think the other thing is that it's not about us, right? When you look at it from the perspective of, you know, hero and the guide, right? Obi-Wan, you know, and Luke Skywalker, right? The whole who's the hero, who's the guide, and you said it right, is that people find, you know, it's genuine, right? Us just being absolutely genuine to who we are, and really giving a shit about you, right? Working with us. I mean, like, we genuinely care about you, and we care, and we know where you're at, and we know how to get you out of that situation, right? And get you where you want to be. And I think that's the true essence, and I think that's the connection that we've built such amazing, you know, man, friends. That's the word I want to come back to, man. We've built so many amazing relationships, so many amazing friends that are still part of this industry. Maybe they've moved on, but man, it's really rewarding. And I think, you know, we've always taken that stance. We haven't tried to, you know, it's about you. It's about you. It ain't about us. And we care. We understand where you're at. That's the empathy side of things, because we've been in your situation, and so we get it, and, you know, we know where you're at, and we know we can get you out of that, of wherever it is. So I don't know, just pretty cool of what over the years, how it's evolved, and you know, the lives that we've been able to impact, and the many more lives that we're going to get to impact moving forward. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man. What you been reading this week, Kitchens, or listening to?
Man, I got on a kick there for a while. I was just on podcast mode for the longest time. And, you know, the cool thing that when you understand statistically, everybody listens to 7 podcasts on average. Statistically is kind of what the number is. So, you know, just anything. And, you know, we had another Q&A session earlier today, and that was one of the questions that was asked was, hey, share, you know, the 2 most impactful audiobooks that you guys, you know, can share. And, you know, my default is, oh, I can give you more than 2, but what are you trying to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Right? So, like, you know, like for you, if you're trying to solve the riddle of, damn, I got blisters on the back of my ankles, but I still got to get out and run 20 miles this week. How in the hell am I going to do it? Right? I'm going to recommend a different book to you than you saying, you know, than me saying, hey man, check this book out on network marketing. Right? You're going to be like, dude, that ain't the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to cover 20 miles this week with blisters on the back of my feet. I need something motivational that's going to push me through. So I think it's really, really an important lesson when somebody, you know, asks for a book recommendation, because it happens all the time. They say, hey, what are the, you know, I'm looking for a good book recommendation. And my question is always is like, what problem are you trying to solve? What objective are you trying to accomplish? Give me that answer, and I can give you a book recommendation, or I can give you something, a podcast to listen to, or I can tell you somebody to connect with. And 10 times out of 10, it's crickets. It's crickets. They won't respond to it because they haven't thought long enough. It's a significance. It's a significance question for them, for most people, right? But the ones that do answer and say, shit, man, that's a great question. You know, I'm really wrestling with XYZ. And then I can say, perfect. You need to read this. And then I would go here, and then I would check out this podcast. And when you can kind of, you know, when you know that, you can give really sound advice, and people want to push their agenda on them, right? It's like, well, this is my favorite book. You should read it. It's like, but is it going to have an impact to you given the moment of where you're at in your life? So that's the question. So for me, I think one of the biggest gets too, and I shared this with you, I believe, is that when I started getting really clear, going through the Sunday planning, getting clear on the goals, and I didn't do this for the longest time. I was like, okay, well, I'm trying to solve this particular goal. Man, what do I need to be studying to help me accomplish it? And when I started doing that, it really narrowed in. And what I found is that, man, I can accomplish helping me solve a lot of these riddles just through podcasts in bite-sized chunks instead of trying to consume an entire book. So that's where I went in that process. And so one of the big ones, and I think this is a key get, and I just got this. So to answer your question, on the book side, not podcast side, but on the book side is Brian Carruthers' book. It's called Untrapped Freedom Manifesto, and it's his newest book. He wrote, he's got like 4 or 5 books. He wrote Building an Empire. For those of you that have been, following us with EXP, the things that we've been doing, or if you're in the Legal Shield space, you're in any of the network marketing space, then you know the name Brian Carruthers, Building an Empire. But his newest book, Untrapped Freedom Manifesto, it's less than 3 hours on Audible.
That's the other one, man. This one here, that one is money, right? That is must read. So I know the second one has got to be good.
It's amazing. So I was actually on the phone with Brian last week, and I had already just got a copy. I had just downloaded it into my Audible because I'm traveling almost every Friday back up to Oklahoma because Colton, my oldest, is a senior this year, and he's playing football again. And he took a little break. He's been playing football since he was like, as soon as he could start, right? He was 4 or 5 years old. He could start playing football. In Oklahoma, man, you're playing tackle, right? You're tackle football up there.
They don't have no flag football up there?
No, hell no, man. It's freaking Oklahoma. Are you kidding me? So that's why I always joke around here. I'm like, yeah, we're going to play flag. I'm like, when do you start tackle? I mean, shit, my first experience in football is tackle, So that was my son, too, same. But he got up to his freshman year, and he's just like, Dad, I'm not enjoying it. It's not fun. The coaches are a bunch of, they're a bunch of jackasses. And I agree, they were not the best of coaches. And I was like, cool, man. If you're not happy with it, then don't do it. If it's not something that you're willing to commit to, then don't do it. But if you commit, then you're in. He's like, I can't commit to it. I was like, cool. And then they fired the entire coaching staff, and they brought in all new coaches and a great coaching. They brand new facility, brand new everything. He's like, Dad, all my buddies and everybody, when we decided not to play going into our sophomore year, we're all wanting to play again. And I was like, are you going to commit to it? You're going to be in? I said, now, you're not going to get to play, right? Because you haven't played in 2 years. So if you go in and work hard, maybe towards the end of the year, you'll get some more playing time, but you're not going to be able to start and all that just because, he's got kids that have been, they've got 2 years on them. Mm-hmm. So Ian, he's playing, he's on kickoff, he's on receiving, he's next in rotation on defense. They're going to try to work him in on offense. So he's going to get some more playing time because he's put in the hard work. He's put in the effort. So I knew I was going to start making that drive. It's 6 hours round trip every Friday, right? 3:30 to get there. By the game by 7, the game was over. Like last week, I didn't get home till 1:45 from the game. They had a 7:30 kickoff. And I had that book loaded up, and I get about halfway through the book, and it's midnight. And I pull out my phone, I take a snapshot, I send it to Kinder, and I said, dude, you got to listen to this book. I said, this book is a must listen for anybody in real estate. Anybody that we know needs to listen to this book. It'll wake you up. It'll wake you up. Because what he says in the beginning is like, you want to retire someday, don't you?
Yeah.
So how long do you think you're going to want to be retired for? Maybe 20 years? Okay, cool. So average life expectancy for a male in the United States right now is 78 or 79 years old. Let's say it's 85, right? Well, if we want to have a 20-year run, that means we got to work up until 65 to 70. We want to have a 15 to 20-year run of retirement. He said, let's do the math. He goes, you want to eat every day, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I want to eat. Well, let's say you want to eat 3 times a day. Okay. He said, let's say every meal is $7 on average. 7 times 3 times 365 times 20. Now, you will probably have a significant other, somebody that you're married to, right? Right?
Yeah.
That's $306,000 for 20 years, 3 meals a day, $7 a meal. Where are you going to get a $7 meal? You going to eat ramen every day? He said, then he goes, do you have $306,000 saved right now? Do you have a plan to have $306,000? It just like shakes you at the core. It's like, holy shit, what am I doing? Right. And it's like, it's a must. It is a must. And, you know, we talk a lot about within coaching, you know, you got to get clear, right? Where do you want to go? Let's look where you're at. And that's the gap, right? And then we're going to create the plan to close the gap, to get you from where you're at to where you want to be. And that'll shake you, right? It's like, well, you know, I want this, that, the other. It's like, okay, well, can you write a check for that right now? Mm-hmm. And the agents that we work with, 99% coming to us, no, they can't, right? They can't.
I figured we were gonna end up around $2 million. You know what I mean? I'm just like, so 20 years, you know, probably conservatively $100,000 a year, and so that's $2 million right there that you would need. But I didn't think that my meals were gonna be $300,000. I gotta get them buy one get one coupons.
It's do the math, right? It's do the math, and you know, so many agents. So it's not agents, man. It's just so many people just don't do the math. They don't do the math. I forget where I heard it, but statistically 98% of the people are not thinking beyond next weekend. Mm-hmm. Right? Like there are 98% of the people right now are only focused on what they're going to be doing this weekend.
So I'll tell you, I was just earlier, I had background playing, usually as a news station, Fox Business or Fox News, playing in the background as I'm doing stuff. And this thing came on. It was about Benjamin Watkins, plays for the Patriots.
Okay.
And they were like, coming up, next story, find out how Benjamin Watkins has a frugal approach to saving money or whatever, right? So it comes back, like, let me listen to this one. He's made tens of millions of dollars and find out his unconventional way of saving money. So he said his unconventional way of saving money is instead of doing direct deposit, he doesn't cash any of his checks all season. So at the end of the year, he cashes all his checks. And then they were like, yeah, well, that's kind of stupid because actually I should be getting interest on that and stuff. But, you know, and they were just laughing. Like the commentator, it was on the show, The Five. So there's like 5 of them. And one of them goes, you know, what do you think? That worked for you? And they were laughing, and they said, you know what? Most people in America, 98% of America, they live paycheck to paycheck, so they can't even fathom not cashing their paycheck for 9 months. Yep. You know, It's just crazy. And just like what you said, you got to think farther. And another person who does a good breakdown on that is it. And everybody's different. You know what I mean? I would want a whole hell of a lot more than $2 million going into retirement, but everybody's different. You got to break down to what you're going to need based on what you want, not just pick an arbitrary figure that probably belongs to somebody else. Right. But Grant Cardone does a thing where he talks about, you know, everybody wants to make $1 million, and he gets on the dry erase board, the smart board, and he starts, all right, let's start. So you got $1 million, man. You got kids? Oh, you want to send them to college? All right, how much is that going to, okay, now you probably going to want a house. How much? Let's say you're frugal. How much house? All right, so then there's this, and how much is that going to be a month? Okay, this, and what about your car? Okay, you need a car, and you're not going to go out and buy a Ferrari, right? Let's just say that you get, you know, Camry or something. Okay, there you go. What about your wife? She needs a car. Oh, what's that going to be? And he breaks it all down. And by the end of the deal, you're broke. Like you know, not even being, not over the top. You're not living in some multi-million-dollar home or anything else. But unless you go through the math, it's easy to think that that it's more than it is. And I had a call with Ron and James Moore, who just did our spotlight interview last week. We had a call today doing a little audit on their different lead sources. And, we had one particular lead source that we were expecting more conversion from. But when we actually broke it down, so I'll give you 2 examples. There's multiple lead sources. They got some good lead funnels that are running, but 2 sources. There was one that brought in 45 leads in the month of July and 39 leads in August. These are just data. I mean, call them leads, but really it's a name and a number, right? So these aren't people that have converted. And then we had another one another source that delivered 18 leads. And so let's just combine the 2. Let's say we got 64 leads. And maybe we're thinking that we're going to get 10, 15 conversions out of that. That's ridiculous, right? Because you can go through the math and, okay, we got 64 leads. So let's say that we have a 30% contact rate. All right, so that's what? Let's just say there's 21 leads that we actually talk to. Let's say that we convert 10%. Let's say we convert 20%. Let's say we convert 30% of our conversations into an opportunity. That's only 6. And so if you don't look at the math on what you really have, you're like, man, I should be getting 20 opportunities a month. Really? Why? Have you gone through the math? Like, did you know that you're only generating X number of leads from this source? And if you do the math, contact rate, conversion rate, that actually paints a picture of you converting 3 or 4. And so then you're like, oh, dang. So what can I do to increase the leads coming in? Or what can I do to increase the conversion with the same number of leads? But then it helps me identify where the problem is, instead of just saying, how many times do we hear this? The leads are weak, the leads suck, I need to find a new lead provider. Have you done the math? Because it may not, there's no lead provider out there that with 20 leads a month is going to give you anything.
Right.
So you got to dig into the numbers, man.
That's it, man. You got to do the math. You got to see it too. And you can't identify the real constraint unless you do.
You said something earlier, man, about, I just wanted to go back to it because I wrote the note here, and it was about, not forcing your agenda on people. What works for you don't necessarily mean it's something that's going to work for somebody else. And if my goal is to really help that person, I'm doing them a disservice by just trying to apply what worked for me on them. And I remember when I was growing up, like 18, 19, 20, I spent 21. When I moved to Dallas, I managed the menswear department at this place called Harold's at the Galleria, Oklahoma City-based company, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You got my ear. Harold's, I
right,
recognize.
Right. And then before I left California, I worked at this high-end men's store, kind of like a Stanley Korshak here, sold, real expensive suits and stuff. And
Dresswear, man, for men, right?
Yeah.
It's like in our mall, we had one. In fact, my uncle worked there all through college, high school, college, and stuff. It was called the Surrey Shop, and it was exactly like that.
Like a haberdashery, if you really, haberdashery is a good word. That's what they used to call them back in the day. But so I would work there, and I remember, I had this plan. I wanted to own a clothing store and stuff like that, and I remember I used to put outfits together. Like I would even do windows and displays sometimes when it was slow. I just got off on doing that kind of thing. And it was brought to my attention one time that I would always do the mannequins or lay out outfits that I would like, not taking into account that my fashion sense is a little bit different than other people, and I would wear a lot of stuff that most people wouldn't wear. So
right.
if I was the buyer and I'm choosing what to stock in my store, I could easily make a big mistake picking the stuff that I like.
Yeah, that's a great lesson, man. That's huge.
And so, that now I'm like, I used to wear white loafers like they were going out of style, bro. White loafers with everything. People would be like, oh, that's like, oh. And so I could have got a shoe store and been like, man, white loafers. I'm stocking the place with white loafers.
The whole thing, white loafers, and not sold the one.
Not sold the one. And not sold the one, I know.
Dude, I was same thing, man. When I was in Hollister working at Ridgemart, and it was kind of working there, first assistant. Man, this was when Tiger was on the rise. This was when David Duval was the #1 player on the planet, and he was on fire. and Tommy Hilfiger was the brand from a clothing perspective that David Duvall was represented what he was wearing. And I'll never forget this lesson. We were sitting with the Tommy Hilfiger rep, and I'm like, he's the number one player in the planet, and I knew what was about to happen, right? Because this was 96, 97, this is 97, 98, right? Tiger's 99, 2000, the greatest year of golf ever.
Mm-hmm.
And right in that mix, and I'm like, man, we got to go in with David Duvall. He's the number one player on the planet. Tommy Hilfiger, right? This is a semi-private resort. And I was like, man, I knew in my gut that wasn't right because, dude, where's everything trending, right? Everything's trending to Tiger, right? Like, we would have been smart to pass on Tommy Hilfiger and try to align with Nike if we could have, and represented Nike brand inside of the shop instead of so much Hilfiger,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that was semi-private resort. Our pro, our members, this was the interesting dynamic. Or we could have gone a little bit, but we were a semi-private, right? So this goes back to knowing your audience, knowing who your buyer is. And so we had members, but here's the funny thing about our members. Our members never bought until the Christmas discount sale that we did every year just for our members in the shop. So we would oversupply the store going into the holidays, and then we would have fun and we would have a big event to where they could draw and win multiple discounts. But that was the only time. So if you studied the data, that was the only time our members bought out of the shop. But we should have supplied the shop rest of the year on the public coming in. And who was the public? Why was there more public coming in? Because of Tiger. Like, we should have supplied and gone that route. So that was just a great lesson. And I didn't know that shit at the time, man. I mean, that was 97, 98, man. I had no damn clue, right? So, but looking back on it now, if you know the data, know who's buying, know when they're buying, and then you have that product and that demand, in front of them, just like you were sharing about the white loafers. I mean, what was your percentage of the buyer in the marketplace that's buying that product?
Yeah, I was just tthinking about what I like. Everybody must like. People tell me, right. And people even tell you, man, I love those shoes, but it's just on you they like them. Not on them. Not on them.
I used to rock the pink polos and the white golf shoes. I didn't flip it up. I drew the line right there. I would rock the pink one, but I wouldn't flip it.
Okay, good.
My country club buddies, they like to rock that. No offense against them all, but I would always give them shit. But I'm from Lawton, Oklahoma.
Don't let me get seen with my collar flipped up, dude. I get beat up.
You're from Salinas, California. California. You know what I'm talking about.
There's no way in hell I could have done that. I wasn't wearing my white loafers in Salinas. I mean,
you would not be. You would not be.
It's funny, gosh, it wasn't too much, man. About the same time, probably 99, 2000, I worked at a place called Khakis at the Barnyard in Carmel Valley, Carmel by the sea, where the big shopping center with the windmill. And I used to...
I know exactly where that is.
Oh, dude, I worked at Khakis there. It's still there. J. Lawrence Khakis. That was the name of it. And our thing was Te Ama, man. That was right when Clint Eastwood had come out with Te Ama.
Te Ama, dude, man. We definitely had that product in there. That resonated, right? People would buy that product. Dude, I got a Te Ama shirt still in my closet.
Yeah.
Dude, it's ridiculous. It was
mercerized cotton, man. That mercerized cotton had that gloss, dude. It looks good.
Yeah. Clint Eastwood, man. That's when he was on top of the world, man. He was mayor of Carmel at that time, wasn't he?
Yep. He changed it, man. It used to be prior to him. You couldn't like eat ice cream walking down the street. You couldn't do nothing. So he kind of took some of the hoity-toityness out of it. But still, it's what I do love about that is There's still no like McDonald's. There's no fat. They've maintained the quality of the environment there without letting those big box places, not too many of them, come in and ruin it.
If you ever get a chance, guys listening to this, if you ever get a chance, get down to Monterey, California, out on the peninsula, you got to go by Carmel. Go down through the shops, it's gonna be tough as shit to find a parking spot. Find a parking spot, get out, and just walk the shops. They've got one of the best oysters. It's what's it called, man? It's right there on the corner. You would know it if I said it. JW Oysters or something like that. Oyster Shack, just right on the corner. They've got like 3 or 4 tables. That's it, man. It's like you get in, you get your oysters, you get the hell out. Best oysters I've ever had. I mean, we tried it. We try to find oysters all over, and it was just there's nothing like it, man. It's an incredible experience if you've never been down there.
It's good, man. So funny story. Man, I probably shouldn't say it, but last time I went, we stayed at, I can't remember, man, the place. It was so good, this little hotel that we stayed at. And it was right by, if you're there and you're going down, I think it's Ocean Avenue, and you get to the end, and it literally dead ends at the beach, right? And
yeah.
So we went out there, and, you know, they technically, the beach closes. And, of course, I'm like, the beach don't close, man. That's Earth. Like, how can they close the beach? And so I think it was like 10 o'clock, the beach closes or something. But we went out there, of course, with like 2 bottles of wine and a little picnic basket and stuff. And me and my girlfriend go out there at like 11 o'clock. And we're out there finding a log. It is pitch black. Can't see nothing, but the stars are beautiful. And we're out there. She's got a beanie on. She looks like she's... yeah, and she looks like she's from Salinas. She's got a beanie on now, looking all ghetto kind of. And we're out there drinking, because it was cold. And we're drinking the stuff on the beach and everything, having a good time. And all of a sudden, man, like 11:45, this light starts shining on us. And we're like, what in the world is that? And yeah, the cops came by, and our car was parked in the, beach parking thing. And so we were the only car there. You know what I mean? So it was pretty obvious somebody was on the beach. And so they came and drug us in and said, go back to your hotel. So we went back to our hotel.
Steep hill too, man. That's a steep drop right there.
Walking in that sand, you know what I mean? But it's a beautiful, beautiful time. And we had a sale similar to you, man. We would, our buying strategy, probably without this sale, it wouldn't have worked, but we had one sale a year, and it was around the holidays, and it was crazy. It was like 75% off of stuff that was, and this was a high-end store, so a pair of slacks was likely going to cost $400 or $500, and so people would just wait until the end of the year, and it'd be loaded up, tables everywhere, and you'd get a pair of $500 slacks for $100, and it was just nuts. Yep. And so we knew that if we overbought on a particular item that didn't sell well, we knew that we could clear out the stale inventory at the end of the year with this one big sale. That's what Nordstrom's does, right? What do they? I think now they have 2. They call it a half-yearly sale, but they used to only have one sale a year. I think now they have 2, but yeah.
Amen.
So one thing I was running the other day, and I said, man, next time Kitchens and I do a podcast, I'm gonna bring this up, because I was like, damn, that is good, and it makes a lot of sense. So this book I was listening to the other day, not on my 20-mile run, by the way. You want to hear the worst part? What great salespeople do. Michael Bosworth. It's super good. But when I was running the other day, I went out for that 20-mile run, and on mile 3, my headphones died. So the whole rest of the time, I'm just... but I concentrating on my breathing. I don't know, there's a little part of me that likes to just hear everything too. But I was like, golly, man, 3 miles in.
I like to flip it. I like to flip it. I like to go as long as I can without it. And then when I've got to push through, then I'll kick it on. And I've got, if it's hot outside, I got a particular playlist. Like if it's hot. So it's like
Christmas music.
Marilyn Manson. It's like it gonna get me going, right? And then if it's nice and cool, I can listen to hip hop, I can listen to anything else. But when it's hot, I gotta have something like that to keep me going. But I try to go as long as I can without it, because in Ironman, there's no headphones, right? You can't wear headphones. You can't wear headphones on the bike. You can't wear headphones on the run.
Oh, I didn't know that. You can't, they don't allow you to wear headphones.
No headphones, nothing, because man, there's so many people and things are so close, and man, you can't have that as a distraction. You've got to have as much awareness to your senses as possible. And so they just, they won't allow it.
I'm going to try that. I sure would have rather had the music on the last 3 miles than the first 3. Those last 3 miles were rough. But so that book, so he talks about in this book, what great salespeople do, something called premature elaboration.
Oh,
right? And
playing on words a little bit there. I got you.
Premature elaboration. And here's what it means. It was a study that Xerox did, and they found that, this is when Xerox was one of the best and biggest companies in the world. Yeah. And so, and they did, the great thing about those companies is they invested so much time and money into studying what made their salespeople so great. So much of what we learn today comes from companies like that, and the spin selling study and all that stuff. But, so they did a study. Most of their salespeople burn out at 18 months. Like, they'd be great. They'd peak at 18 months, and that was kind of it. They'd even go down after that. Their sales would decrease, even though they were really more of an expert. They were an absolute expert at 18 months, but their sales would crash. And so they wanted to figure out why that was. Why? And so what they surmised is that what happens is when you first get into something, like even real estate, you're all excited, you're consuming all the information, you're enthusiastic, you're learning all the time, and so you deliver it with a certain amount of enthusiasm. You also don't know the answer to everything, so you tend to listen a little bit more and try to diagnose the customer's situation better. You might even say, I don't know, let me get back to you. Like, all these things take place. But then what happens is your expertise becomes your enemy, because now at 18 months, you already know everything. You are an expert, granted. But what happens is now, as soon as John starts to say, here's what I'm looking, I already got it figured out. Before he even told me what he wanted, because I'm an expert, and I'm probably right, I already figured out what he wants. So I'm no longer listening. I'm already thinking about the solution that I'm going to talk to him about. And they just jump the gun, and a lot of times they are right, but that's not what sells. It's developing the relationship and allowing somebody to tell their story and to kind of vent it out on their end. That's what creates the rapport, and that's what they were missing, is that they were such an expert that they already knew what the customer needed before the customer could say it, but they missed the fact that the customer needs to say it.
Yes.
Man, and I can tell you that, that's happened to me so many times, and I've seen it happen to so many other people, that you're so good that as soon as they boom, you know exactly what they want, and you're already headed down that road. And if you've ever been on the other end with a salesperson you feel like didn't care and just wanted to sell something, they were probably an expert. And they forgot that they should care about you a little bit more and slow your roll, right? And ask the questions, be empathetic. Play stupid every once in a while, and that was just deep, man. I remember this was a week ago. I didn't even write it down. It's been in the frontal lobe of my brain for 5 days. That's how it was.
It's outcome over ego. It is when we look at the if we had a line here, right, and everything above the line was about getting to the outcome, being solution oriented, really open to all the solutions and opportunities and things available to us, and then below the line is we're shut off, we're closed. That's where ego kicks in. And so what happens is that we get to a point of where we are more it's getting to right versus being right.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're below the line where the ego kicks in, it's about us being right? It's about us being the hero. versus above the line, we're focused on outcomes and solutions for whomever we're sitting with or working with or whatever. And that's about getting to right. And it's a big distinction. It's huge. It's a huge get for you guys. I mean, if any of you guys listening in on this, coming back, I mean, take that to heart. And because what's his name? Chris Voss and Never Split the Difference.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
He talks about it. He talks about it in there. He says, in your negotiations, if they say, man, you know what, Jeff, you're right, they ain't got it. But when they say, Jeff, you know what, man, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
They got it. They take ownership in it. And so what happens, that's what we have to focus on. And he talks about it in that book, is that if they say, what, man, Jeff, you know what, you're right, you ain't got them. You ain't got a closed deal on the negotiation. In that book, he's a former FBI hostage negotiator. you ain't like you better get it right. And so
there's no second chances.
There's no second chances. There's no 50-50. There's no fair, right? You're talking about life, right? So he really emphasizes that it's got to get to right. It's not about you. It's never, ever, ever about you. It's about getting to the principle. And that's where understanding the line, outcome over ego, about getting to right versus being right, that's what we're looking for. And it's like what I just shared, what we talked about earlier, and about being the hero versus being the guide, right? The hero wants to be right. That's the ego. The guide is helping you understand what is right and getting to right and understanding the opportunities. If you guys can get that, oh my gosh, it'll change your life. It'll change your career. It'll change everything. I remember going to my first Tony Robbins UPW event, and my coach at the time said, he's like, man, he says, like, you guys consume so much Tony Robbins stuff, and you've gone through all of the programs backwards and forwards. I mean, shoot, I moved him outside, but I had all of his I had all the CD programs.
Oh, yeah.
I had all the DVD programs. Oh, they were already here. I moved them. They made their way out to the garage, so they're in the garage, and he's like, here's my challenge to you when you go into that event. Holly and I went. And he goes, here's what I challenge you. He goes, I challenge you to go in and listen for what you don't know. He goes, you're going to hear a bunch of stuff that you're familiar with, but really try to listen for what you don't know. And that's what we talk about all the time, right? It's like, what is an amazing book that you've read multiple times, right? Like, what's one book that you've read over and over and over? And because you continue to grow and progress, you pick up new little nuggets and nuances and things that you didn't hear the previous times you've gone through it, or it has a different meaning to you because of where you're at in your understanding and where you're at in your career, where you're at in your life, the season of your life. Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is a great one, right? That's one that people have read over and over, year after year after year, and it's a reinforcement, but it's also a little nuance of picking up something. Is there a certain book for you that you've read multiple times you've picked up additional meanings coming out of?
Man, that one right there. Never Split the Difference. I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, you go Think and Grow Rich, all the Dale Carnegie books, The Closers 1 and 2 by Ben Gay, the third. I mean, a lot of sales stuff. Good to great. I'm just looking to see if there's anything right here. But all those, man. There's Good to Great right there. Content Inc. But all those were good. And I just want to give one of my favorite tactics. This is a big takeaway, man. Or something you can use split the difference is one of the negotiating tactics when you want to keep the conversation going. So going back to it's about them and in sales, it's in large part about getting that person talking so that you can collect information. And the strategy, you'll remember this, Kitchens, is you just say the last 3 words that they say.
That's it, man.
It's so money. And if you use that, and even personally, it'll keep you from sticking your foot in your mouth, and it will give the impression, true or not, that you're a good listener, and you'll get additional information that you otherwise wouldn't have got. And so if somebody says, I'm just not looking to buy right now, you're not looking to buy right now. And you just shut up. And people, because they feel, one of the most, the greatest pressure a salesman can apply is silence. People feel like they need to fill it. And so if you just repeat the last 3 words that somebody says with the right tonality, you'll get a little extra information. Right. Because they feel like they need to fill that gap of silence so that you don't understand. You don't understand?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great one, and you can kind of have fun with it in a good ethical way. You can have fun with that one, and you'd be amazed at how well that little strategy works.
There's talking with Gene Frederick, and Gene's the GOAT, right? I mean, he is the greatest of all time, and he's Gene is responsible. Really, he's recruited more people to KW than anybody ever in 1 year. Nobody's ever recruited more people in 1 year to KW than Gene has. And Gene's, responsible. When he came to EXP, there were 485 agents, and he recruited Ralph Flick, who then recruited Sheila Barajan, who then recruited Brent Gove, and Brent took it to there were 2,000 agents when Brent came on, and then Brent recruited Coach Cliff, and Coach Cliff got Al and then Jay, and there were 4,000 agents. There were 4,000 agents when Jay came on, and that was 2 years ago, and they're at 21,000 right now. So there's been 3 instrumental strides in that organization to accelerate their growth. But Gene was responsible for really fine tuning and helping with the model. But he said that his entire question and interview process is his next question is based upon your answer. So for him, that just forces him to listen. Mm-hmm. Right? If he's really listening to you and your situation, then his next question is just based upon your answer. That's it. He goes, I ain't got no script. I ain't got no agenda. I'm just helping you uncover what it is that you want to accomplish. Where are you struggling at in your business? And how can I help you close the gap to make it, it may be at a 6, and how can I help you get your business to a 10? And all I'm doing is just, my next question is based upon your answer. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Questions are the answers, and the answers are the questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, man.
Good stuff, man. It's really, really good. So, man, we flew through.
I know. That was a quick hour right there. I saw Dan jump on too. Dan's jumped on Facebook. What's up, Dan?
What's happening?
I just saw this thing today. Just as we're finishing up and we're kind of just talking about funny, cool stuff. I saw this email come through today, and they finally reached the bottom. Richard Branson and a oceanographer, actually the grandson of Jacques Cousteau, they dove down to the bottom of that deep blue hole in Belize. Have you ever seen that hole? So it's like one of the deepest sinkholes in the world or something, and it's in the middle of this giant reef in Belize. And it's literally like, if you look at a map, I mean, you see the reef, and then there's this perfect circle, and it's crystal blue water, and it goes super deep. Nobody had ever been to the bottom. because there's a certain layer, like when you go down as a diver, you reach a layer that's full of nothing but hydrogen sulfide, which will kill you. And so that's usually as far as anybody can go diving, and they haven't had the technology or whatever to take submersibles down there. So they finally got to the very bottom of the deep blue hole in Belize. And this, I guess Discovery Channel is going to have a documentary coming out in a few weeks or months about it. So they're kind of letting out a little bit of the info and what they found. But yeah, Richard Branson's crazy. But I mean, he gets in the submersible with these guys, and they go down to the very bottom. And I don't know what all they find, but they do get one secret away, that they were so horrified. The teaser's like, and they were horrified by what they found. And you're like, oh man, what did they find at the bottom? They found a bunch of plastic. They found a bunch of plastic bottles and trash and stuff.
Oh shit! Come on. Really?
Yeah, so I'm like, I mean, that's terrible.
About that.
That's terrible. Like, oh, I get it. You know, that's terrible that we're using.
I'd be like, damn, I can't believe that made it all the way down here.
I know. I guess somebody's been using it as a dump or something. I don't know, but I thought they were going to find a sea monster.
That's crazy, man. That might, yeah.
So save the oceans. Save the oceans. Don't dump stuff in the deep blue hole. And next time, you know, give me a little something more than some trash. I want a sea monster or a shipwreck.
Yeah. Give me something. Yeah. Maybe the Loch Ness Monster or, you know, Bigfoot or somebody's living down there.
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome, man. Well, always love jamming with you, and definitely fun, man. A lot of good. We had a great conversation.
Yeah, right. You know, don't know how much of it was real estate related, but if you listen to it a few times, you can probably apply it in some form or fashion.
There's definitely some nuggets and some principles in there that we shared. So
definitely, and you know what the lesson is? It's not always about business that teaches you lessons about business. You know what I mean? Look at all the lessons that are taught on the football field that people use in the corporate world and everywhere else. So you just got to be aware and look for those opportunities. I mean, probably in a situation that's not business, it's there might be the best lessons. But and don't forget, you know, we talked about a few of the people that have been coaching with us and people that have in the past, and that is what we love to do. We are Kinder Reese Coaching, and so if you're interested in learning more about that, be sure and go to kinderreesecoaching.com. Jay did a great webinar that explains the philosophy and the methodology on how we help agents grow their business. So go to kinderreesecoaching.com and watch that. And if you think it's for you, you'll be told what to do next.
Love it. Awesome. Jeff, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Talk to you later.
To find out how to build a 7-figure real estate business in 3 years or less, go to kinderreesecoaching.com. You've been listening to the Growth Guys Podcast. If you want us to help you grow your real estate business, go to kinderreesecoaching.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the Growth Guys Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast fix to get new, fresh weekly episodes. Catch you next time on the Growth Guys Podcast.